There is something sinister floating beneath the Strait of Hormuz right now. It is invisible. It is silent. And the country that put it there has just admitted on the record that it cannot find it. Iran's deputy foreign minister confirmed last week what U.S. intelligence had been whispering for a month. The Revolutionary Guard laid sea mines across the world's most critical waterway haphazardly in the opening days of the war, using small boats that never recorded exact coordinates. Some mines drifted with the current. Some sank into deeper water than planned. And now, somewhere between a dozen and several thousand explosive devices sit on the seabed of a 33-kilometer corridor through which 30% of global seaborne oil must pass. The country that used uncertainty as a weapon has just become its prisoner. The trap laid for the enemy has snapped shut on the trapper. Welcome to the IRGC's stupid nightmare. Iran's total sea mine inventory, confirmed by a U.S. congressional report, stands between 5,000 and 6,000 units. Contact mines, magnetic bottom mines, acoustic triggers, rocket-propelled mines launched from shore, limpet mines for divers. This is one of the largest mine stockpiles in the world, a massive arsenal accumulated over 40 years specifically for one purpose: closing Hormuz. Tehran spent 4 decades building this weapon, a low-cost, high-leverage counter to the U.S. Navy's overwhelming surface power. A single mine costs a few $1,000s. Clearing it costs 1,000 times more. Laying them takes hours. Clearing them takes weeks, sometimes months. This was supposed to be the perfect asymmetric weapon, the ultimate trump card to bring global markets to their knees the moment Washington got too aggressive. And for 6 weeks of Operation Epic Fury, it worked. Tanker traffic through Hormuz collapsed by 70%. Maersk, CMA CGM, MSC, and Hapag-Lloyd suspended all shipments. Qatar declared force majeure on liquefied natural gas exports, halting 25% of global liquefied natural gas trade overnight. The International Energy Agency released the largest emergency petroleum reserve in history, 400 million barrels. Pakistan closed schools and moved to a 4-day work week. India shuttered restaurants to conserve cooking oil. Brent crude spiked 60%. Russia became the quiet winner, pumping directly to China while the rest of the world scrambled. On paper, Iran had achieved its strategic objective. The strait was closed. The world was paying attention. Then, the New York Times published the report that broke the strategy from the inside. Citing United States officials, the Times revealed on April 11th that Iran could not locate most of the mines it had laid. The Revolutionary Guard had deployed them in panic during the first week of the war, using small dhows and fishing vessels operating at night, without GPS logging, without proper grid coordinates, without any of the procedural discipline a professional navy would enforce. Some were laid in water deeper than their mooring cables could handle and sank beyond reach. Some drifted with the tidal currents that run up to 3 knots through the narrowest sections of the strait. Some were placed by crews who never filed accurate reports back to IRGC headquarters in Bandar Abbas. The result is a minefield that even its creators cannot map. And now Iran is routing the handful of vessels it allows through the strait along a single narrow corridor hugging its own southern coastline, each ship requiring Iranian military permission and an armed escort. Tehran is not protecting its waters. Tehran is tiptoeing through its own booby trap. Now, the cold math of asymmetric warfare. In 2002, the Millennium Challenge war game, the Pentagon ran a simulation of exactly this scenario. A U.S. fleet operating against an Iran-like adversary using swarm boat tactics, mine warfare, and shore-based missiles. The Red Team sank 16 American ships on day 1, including an aircraft carrier. The Pentagon reset the simulation and quietly began rewriting Doctrine. 24 years later, that doctrine is being tested for real, and the first phase has not played out the way Iran's planners expected. The U.S. has not lost a single major naval asset. Instead of reacting to the mine threat after it deployed, U.S. Central Command went after the threat at its source. Step 1. Destroy the mine-laying fleet. Over 30 mine-laying vessels of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps have been confirmed destroyed since February 28. Admiral Brad Cooper, commander of United States Central Command, has personally confirmed multiple strikes. President Trump stated publicly that every Iranian mine-laying ship has been sunk. General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, told a Pentagon briefing that the Navy is continuing to dismantle Iran's ability to attack commercial shipping. Step 2. The ports. Iran's small boat fleet, including the Basij civilian militia of 33,000 vessels, still exists, but every boat needs a dock, a fuel depot, and an ammunition bunker to matter. U.S. airstrikes have hit Bandar Abbas, Jask, and Chabahar. The mine storage facilities on Qeshm Island were destroyed in a single night. A small boat without fuel or ammunition, no matter how invisible to radar, is a raft. Step 3. The tunnels. Iran does not only lay mines from ships, it can rocket them from shore, hundreds per hour, from tunnels drilled into the coastal granite facing the strait. GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators collapsed those launch galleries. Tunnel entrances were buried, and coastal anti-ship missile capability was degraded in the same raids. U.S. officials described the operation as dismantling what Iran had called its death box. Step 4. Permanent surveillance. P-8, Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft now fly the strait 24 hours a day, tracking every vessel movement. AI-powered platforms similar to Project Maven scan satellite feeds for suspicious maritime activity in real time. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps cannot lay a new mine without being watched. So here is the question I want you to answer in the comments, because the Pentagon does not have a clean answer to this, and neither do the analysts. If the decision was in your hands, how would you clear the Strait of Hormuz? Drones, divers, dolphins, diplomacy, or something smarter than all four? The best answer gets pinned. Because the new mine-laying threat has collapsed, but the mines already in the water, the ones Iran itself cannot find, are a different problem entirely. And this is where the US Navy's own decisions come back to haunt it. For 40 years, the US Navy cleared mines with Avenger-class minesweepers, wooden-hulled vessels designed specifically to operate inside active minefields. Wood does not generate the magnetic signature that triggers modern mines. The Avengers could sail directly over a field, find the mine, and neutralize it with divers or explosives. In September 2025, 5 months before the war began, the Navy decommissioned USS Devastator, Dexterous, Gladiator, and Sentry. They arrived at a Philadelphia scrapyard in February. Their replacements, the Independence-class Littoral combat ships, cost $360 million per hull, run aluminum trimaran construction, and were marketed as modular platforms that could swap mission packages on demand. In practice, hull cracks, gear failures, corrosion problems, and a reputation so bad the fleet itself nicknamed them the little crappy ships. The mine countermeasures package has never been tested in combat. Iran's haphazard minefield is its first real exam. And here is the critical structural flaw. LCS hulls are metal. Metal triggers magnetic mines. The ship cannot enter the field. It must remain outside the threat zone and launch unmanned underwater vehicles, Knifefish and Barracuda drones, to do the actual work. Those drones operate just a few miles off Iran's coast, within range of the coastal missile and rocket batteries that survived the air campaign. While clearing mines, the drones and their motherships become targets themselves. One analyst described the shift this way: it is like replacing a bomb disposal expert with a contractor working from a parking lot by remote control. USS Tulsa and USS Santa Barbara, both equipped with mine countermeasures modules, were tracked this week in Malaysia, thousands of miles from the Gulf. The only LCS currently in theater is USS Canberra, one ship for the most dangerous minefield on Earth. 4 Avengers remain forward deployed in Japan and could transit to the Gulf, but the voyage takes weeks. MH-60S Seahawk helicopters will provide laser mine detection. The Navy's Marine Mammal Program, trained bottlenose dolphins whose sonar is more precise than most drones, will be deployed. The United Kingdom is sending a single mine-clearing drone, having decommissioned its own Gulf minesweeping fleet in early 2026. NATO allies have refused to join the coalition. History issues a warning here. In 1987, during Operation Earnest, the United States escorted Kuwaiti tankers through exactly this waterway. 30 warships, 14 months of continuous convoy duty. On the very first day, an Iranian mine struck the Kuwaiti supertanker Bridgeton. 7 months later, a second mine nearly sank the frigate USS Samuel B. Roberts, injuring 10 sailors and cutting the hull almost in half. That was 1987, with a purpose-built wooden hull minesweeping fleet, a smaller Iranian mine inventory, a less sophisticated coastal threat, and full NATO cooperation. In 2026, Iran's stockpile is 5 times larger, coastal weapons are more advanced, the Avengers are scrapped, the Littoral combat ship is untested, and the Allies have stayed home. Retired Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery has already said it plainly: you cannot stop every missile and drone attack during a convoy operation. The strait is still, in the Navy's own words, a death trap. Yet the deepest wound in this story is not American, it is Iranian. Tehran wanted to control global oil flow. Instead, it cannot even permit its own merchant ships through the water in front of its own naval headquarters without a military escort and a hand-drawn map that everyone knows is incomplete. Tehran wanted leverage in the Islamabad negotiations with Vice President J.D. Vance. Instead, Iran's foreign minister is pleading for joint mine clearance coordination, because Iran does not have the technical capability to find what Iran laid. Tehran wanted to punish the West by closing the strait. Instead, Russia is now pumping oil to China at 60% higher prices, while Iran's own oil exports collapse. The asymmetric masterstroke has become the asymmetric trap, and the trapper is sitting inside it. Between 10 and 50, maybe more, perhaps many more, mines are lying silent on the seabed of Hormuz tonight. Nobody knows the exact count. Not the Pentagon, not CENTCOM, and most damning of all, not the IRGC itself. This uncertainty is more destructive than any single explosion, because uncertainty freezes trade, paralyzes insurance markets, and extends the war by months. It is the bitterest irony of modern warfare. Asymmetric weapons buy you leverage in wartime and strike their own creator in peacetime. Iran spent 40 years building the sharpest sword in the Gulf. It just sheathed the sword in its own stomach. If you want the exclusive analyses that unpack stories like this before they hit mainstream coverage, subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for choosing to think clearly about a world that depends on it.